Welcome to the Awakening Podcast, another episode of Sane in an Insane World with my friend Arnold. And this week we're going to discuss Italy protests, genetically modified children, tariff wars, Portugal elections, immigration in the EU, and with some beautiful pictures as always, AI, Shopify AI, important in employees, Chat GPT, extended memory, truck drivers, and fingerprints not unique. Another picture for you. The Good News Caravan, which cheers you up after all the depressing news that we give you. Care Online Roundtable discussions, youth, mental health and culture, and then blood tests for preventing heart attacks. And the health, Depressive Realism, soaking nuts, sure what that's about, and healing back pain. Then there's other topics, plastic or cows, teleportation, and proof of chemtrails. How are you this week, Arnold?
I'm fine, although my eyes and my nose are still running. My eyes and my nose are running faster than I do. So it's still the spraying where apparently my body is not adapted to, but you will show it later on.
Exactly. Sure, we may as well start off. Italy protests, what's going on there?
Yeah, we keep you updated on protesting, I would say, a little bit lesser known countries like Serbia and Turkey and Romania, of course. But I found a message that actually it was last weekend that there was a huge protest in Italy, which, have you seen that, Roy?
No, I didn't hear anything about it.
That is so interesting, is that this stuff is just hidden, but I found it. And people are protesting against the fact that they pay a lot of taxes on the EU towards contribution on the EU, which we're talking about billions and billions. And then von der Leyen, who is the main person in the EU, says, okay, we're going to spend all your tax money on weapon systems. Yeah, and war. That is where we're going to spend your money on. But in Italy, there were protesters like, hey, we didn't approve of that. We don't want war. We don't want weapons. We totally don't want you to decide where our money goes. So that was a protest in Italy.
Oh, I've heard of GMO. Now we've GMC, genetically modified children. What's that about?
Yeah, apparently it was in a podcast with Joe Rogan where a biotech founder called Ben Lam, he explained how in China scientists have cloned embryos and then edited them to make babies immune to HIV. And apparently that has worked and is working. But it gets worse because there is now a debate whether you could, those babies that not only genetically modified will protect them against HIV, but of course the question becomes, can we increase the intelligence of the babies? Well, whether that's happening or not is still not very much clear. I would say if you're talking about and asking this question, the answer is already there, but this is happening, to us people. Well, is it us people? Is it genetically modified baby? Is that a human, or is that a transhuman, or what is it? But anyway, that is currently happening on. So we don't only have, like Roy already said, genetically modified agricultural products, but we also get genetically modified people.
Before we go into the tariff wars, because I know we've an image for that, and as we talk about the Portugal elections, so there's going to be elections on the 18th of May. So there was a vote of no confidence against the one party, and there's also parties against immigration. And why I find that interesting is the kinds that goes on to the immigration in the EU, because countries refusing to take in migrants, the several EU countries resisting to accept them, and notably Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, and now perhaps even Portugal, depending on who gets elected. But there was the refusal is ruled as a breach of EU law by the European Court of Justice, and they can get fines up to €20,000 per migrant. And the thing is, when you actually look at the countries that have allowed this, my country, Ireland, and I have lots of friends in England and all over the world, and Germany and everything, and Sweden, they're destroyed. They have destroyed the countries. I'm safe here. I feel safe here. And I know that in Hungary, it's the same. So they're coming along and they're telling people, the EU, like, where's your sovereignty? So basically, this country that's the EU now is basically controlling everything, and we just have to comply with it. So it's, I mean, I mentioned it on a previous show how they do the voting and everything. It's all corrupt, and I mean, it sounds like Ursula von der or whatever her name is, copying the World Economic Forum, just regurgitating the crap that they're doing. They're not good boys. So being sovereign is a good thing for this. So the tarrifs, I suppose, is the next one. Arnold, I know we're both going to touch on that. So it's been, for those keeping in touch, it's like a lot of the countries, apparently 50, I'm not sure what it is now, that have kind of said, hey, okay, we'll work together and everything. But with China, it's they're after saying something like they were at 84%, now they're up to 125%. And the US is put theirs at 145%. And it seems like a little game of ping pong that's going across the table. But the problem is, if you're working and you're importing products and you've already ordered the products and you have an expectation, this is going to cost me X amount. Now it can cost you 2X or 3X, which means it mightn't be a viable product. And it's not Trump or the Chinese leader that actually get the pain and feel the pain of this. It's the people on both sides of the pond. And it's just a game that they're playing. And personally, is this a way of, like, we are hearing about Taiwan all the time. And if this doesn't get resolved, chips are a major part of what's going on. So does America then go in and start protecting Taiwan because, hey, we need your chips? And China's trying to claim that. Does that lead to a war? I don't know, but that's where I see this is going. So I know you were going to touch on this one as well, Arnold, yeah?
Yeah, well, I added it as well, just as you did for the listeners. We independently of each other prepare so that it becomes more like a genuine discussion rather than everything is scripted. But I put it there because I find it, in addition to it, obviously what you are saying is like, it seems to me is that AI has been defining all these executive orders, and then Trump just reads the executive order and puts his signature and says, okay, that's it. But nobody thinks about the consequences, and nobody thinks it's a one-way street where they say, we, the US, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to protect our country, our manufacturing, our business, etc. But it doesn't take into consideration, but how will this be received? What are the other countries all over the world experiencing? And I think that is still a limitation of AI. The AI, just, if you ask it, the question is like, what can we do with the tariffs to, well, make America great again? Then it will give you an answer. But if you didn't ask, and for instance, like, while at the same time we can limit the negative impact on other countries, if you don't ask add the latter part as a prompt, then you will get the thing is like, this is good for us, and to hell with the rest of the countries, because that is basically the approach. And then they're surprised, like, hey, other countries are not accepting, or other countries are also increasing their tariffs. From India to China to, well, the EU, there are many countries discussing now what to do. So always, as you know, in real life, there are always two sides to a story. Well, at least two sides to a story. But if you only look at the world from with your US glasses on, you're in trouble. And that's been happening this week because people are not accepting that and say, okay, if you do this, we do that. And so it's well, this is it like, yeah, if you hate me, I'm gonna hate you. So I think the discussion is getting a little bit out of hand because people cannot think sensibly anymore. They cannot think like, okay, but if I do something nasty to them, what would their reaction be? Oh, I'm not interested. So it's really what we're seeing playing out is the one-sided view of a country, the one-sided view, maybe even of AI, but AI is still, if you don't ask the right question, you don't get the right answer.
And I'd probably piss off more than half my listeners, but the hypocrite of the year today, the hypocrite of the year award goes to Donald Trump. I saw a guy going in after this happening into his store in Trump Towers with all the hats, all the t-shirts, all the memorabilia and all the different things. Have a guess where everything was made, Arnold.
Yeah.
Made in China or PC, People's Republic of China. So because they don't like saying made in China, they put PCR because most people don't even understand what that is, the People's Republic of China. So yeah, he gets the award for this year for that. So I suppose AI, we touched on AI. Let's Shopify, what's that about?
Yeah, Shopify is, I think, the largest application which you can use to sell your products, from anything from TVs to combs for your hair to sneakers to whatever. You can set up a storefront, an online storefront, and use Shopify. It's the largest one in the world. What happened is that the CEO, Toby Lutke, has sent a mail to his employees about the use of AI, but that mail, well, not by coincidence, got somehow into the public arena. So people were reading it, and then they saw is like, oh, we better publish it officially now because otherwise everybody's talking about it and we don't know. But I wanted to share a couple of these highlights out of this mail, and you can find it on X everywhere. But the mail, so it's a mail from the CEO of Shopify to his employees, and it says that he wants what is called reflexive AI usage, meaning that your use, so you meaning the employee, is that your AI competency is now included in your performance evaluation. In Shopify, people get access to all kinds of AI tools like Copilot, Cursor, and Claude, which means, well, the company is paying for it. And what I thought is the most two things which are related to humans is that if you say you write a mail to your boss and say, hey, we need an extra team member, or we need to replace another team member because that person retired or did go to another company, then they are required to demonstrate why AI solutions can't handle work before being approved for new hires. So you first have to show why AI cannot do the work that a human is supposed to do. And what he's saying is that AI is a multiplier that has enabled top performers to accomplish implausible tasks, not my word, his word, and achieve 100x times the work. So that is driving, and this is a very, very, well, huge company which has a huge impact on the commercial trading in the world, which goes AI first. That is the way I would explain it.
I suppose I'll jump to the truck one on this, and you see the picture. And I've seen different ones actually. It was a different one that I saw. A guy was driving along, just recording it. but I've been talking about this a lot, the amount of jobs. And apparently there's 3.6 million truck drivers in the USA. They're probably counting couriers as well on that. So,
Well,
like,
it's sorry to interrupt. A couple of years ago I did a study, and I find it is that the most people in a career are truck drivers. Hmm? So all over the world, if you say is like, what's the largest group of people doing a certain thing? It's truck drivers.
so, I mean, how many of them have different skill sets that's going to get them a different job? And it's a knock-on effect with the whole family and everything. And it's coming, it's been approved, it's going, like, this is one a few years ago. It's made by a Swedish company. But, and the same, like I talk about in restaurants and everything, like there's 10 million plus people in that sector. All them jobs are gone. So we just have to, be aware. So Chat GPT extended memory.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are using ChatGPT as their tool of choice for AI, especially young people. But it now has added a functionality where ChatGPT will cut across all conversations, listening in all the time, and capturing users' preferences, interests, needs, and even things they don't like. Yeah. So that means that if your AI responds, it can take from their memory everything what is specific to Roy. And what have you answered before? What is your state before? Are you angry or not? Or how did you do? Everything it knows and everything it memorizes. So it means that the system does it automatically. It's not that you can put in is like, hey, please take into consideration some of my previous questions, whatever. No, it does it automatically. That means that the chat GPT, what you're using, is basically knowing everything about you and keeping it in its own memory. So I think that will, well, a lot of people will say, oh, that is easy. Then it knows about me and I can use that. But hey, guys, you can use it for good, but you can also use it for evil. And you can also use it to influence you. And even worse is like, you're no longer capable of doing things yourself without the chat GPT. I think I mentioned last week that folks in assessment centers, they were asking people questions and then the candidates were typing in the questions in chat GPT. So they're already ruling themselves out. And by using chat GPT, memory is like, folks, you're totally replacing yourself because the next step was that the AI, they said, oh, I don't need you anymore.
And I mean, a lot of people are aware that sometimes you mention something and then the social media will start putting up. Across the road from where I live, there's a guy, they cook the chickens, and that's where I kind of engage in my Polish conversations because he doesn't speak any English. But he's aware that my car bust at Christmas, and he was recommending different cars. And he started saying that a Ford Edge is made in German for the American market. His son has one that's brilliant. I never heard of a Ford Edge in my life, but he also mentioned, hey, an Opel Insignia are very cheap now and they're very good and reliable. I said, grand. I got home, opened up Facebook, and then I saw a Ford Edge in the marketplace kind of thing where it's actually trying to sell you a car and thing. And that's how scary it is. So even picking up on the Polish language, trying to something that a car I've never even seen in my life, and it's the first ad that I've got. So yeah, it's just one of these things. Next, the fingerprints, not unique. So I'll have the link for this in the show notes. AI proves that fingerprints are not unique. It's just basically, obviously, over the years, they realized that fingerprint evidence to identify suspects or connect them to specific crime scenes, believing that every print offers a distinctive code. A team of researchers have found that prints from different fingers of the same person can sometimes appear more alike. This insight came from an artificial intelligence model that revealed surprising connections between prints. For decades, it has been taken for granted that fingerprints from different fingers of one individual do not match. Much of this belief stems from the assumption that each finger displays complex, separate ridges, loops, and twirls. Despite such resistance, an undergraduate senior at Columbia Engineering named Gabe Guo, G-U-O, spearheaded a study that contradicts this long-term assumption. By using a public US government database with roughly 60,000 fingerprints. I'm just wondering about GDPR on that one. That's interesting. He fed pairs of fingerprints into a deep contrastive network. Some pairs belong to the same person, while others came from different people. The artificial system became adept at telling when prints that looked different were actually from one individual, reaching an accuracy of 77%. For single pairs. In cases where multiple samples were grouped together, the accuracy soared, offering the possibility of boosting existing forensic methods for more than tenfold. And the researchers kind of didn't like this, but the findings promised fresh possibilities for connecting crime scenes. The researchers faced an uphill battle during peer reviews. The project was rejected by a well-established forensics journal that did not accept the suggestions that different fingerprints might produce with this, the same characteristics. If the information tips the balance, then I imagine the cold cases could be revived and even that innocent people could be acquitted. Determined not to back away from the challenge, even if it meant disrupting over 100 years of accepted practice, the team kept refining the work. Finally, the persistence paid off as the study was finally recognized and published in the peer-reviewed journal American Scientists. So it's like it can help some of the people that are in jail that get released, but it just shows, like critical thinking, having, we have systems in place, always being like that. We must believe it. We question everything.
Well, I was thinking like a more simple way. You talked about the example of criminal records and everything, which is terrible because it might be that innocent people are behind bars now. But also, how many people to open up your smartphone you put in your fingerprint? Yeah, and that means that well, someone else's fingerprint can open it just as well, or the AI can copy your fingerprint and use it or whatever. So this has
when you hear about a 60,000 database that they're working from, and what does that compromise us? Like, because they sell everything. And I mean, even if we think of traveling, I hate going to, obviously I've got friends in the US. I enjoyed when I was at different places, but the worst part is actually traveling there, because when you go in there, you're treated like a criminal. You're queuing up for about an hour and a half, fingerprinting, you're checking your eyes and everything. That doesn't happen anywhere else. I remember going to Norway, man opens the passport and he goes, "Hey Roy, how are you?" That's the difference. And just off you go. Same in Spain. Yeah, walk through, grand. Turkey isn't too bad either. But you go to America and it's like you're just trying to, do I go into a prison camp or what am I doing? So yeah, but what are they doing with all that data? That's the scary part. Okay, so let's cheer them up, Arnold.
Well, go quickly back to the picture of Miami. Yeah, this one we missed. But this one adds up to what the Shopify CEO.
I actually showed it because I know you can't see it when you're reading, so that was shown as you were talking about that. So.
Okay. Yeah. But this is a real picture, folks. This is not made up. This is a real picture in Miami.
I was probably created by AI, Arnold, and then actually put up on the banner.
Yeah, but the way it looks like it looks pretty decent.
All right, good news. What's this round table discussion?
Yeah, I attended this round table. If you go to the next slide, please. It's I think a European initiative where they're talking about how culture and arts can help really with mental health, not the official name, which is mental illness, but really help with mental health with especially the youth, because the numbers are really terrible. Mental health is the second largest cause of death in the world. 20% increase in depression and anxiety for youth. and youth meaning people younger than 20 years. So what they're trying to do is showing and previewing is how culture and art culture think about. They shared that there was where they went with a group of young people to musea and using the paintings and pictures to, well, help young people to express their own challenges in life, right? Because a lot of painting, well, it's an expression from the artist, but it also invites you is to express things yourself. Yeah, and that's being done where they went with all groups of children out of very not so nice neighborhoods to share all the challenges in life which they had, and it appears that both culture and art are having a very very positive influence, and they're helping a lot. But what the this project, which it's a European project, is in the EU is involved also, is like people say we need longevity in the project. It's not like, okay, we fund this project for half a year, whatever, and then it stops. Yeah? What the people were saying is like, no, we need longevity in the project, like 1 to 3 to 5 years, and that we can really gain more experience and get people out of the medical system, because right now people are labeled as like, oh, you got a problem, you need to go to the medical system. We numb you down with some medicine and maybe some therapy, and that's it. Whereas if you use culture and art, all of those things are not necessary. So this is a really really important and very positive action which is happening all across Europe. And I know some folks that are very very hard working on well, to spread it out. But then the challenge is, how do these artists, their musea, whatever, how do they get paid?
Blood test for preventing heart attack. So a simple blood test costing less than $10 could prevent hundreds of heart attacks and other adverse cardiac events per year. Troponin, Troponin, is a protein found in heart muscle cells that is detected in the bloodstream, means the heart has been damaged in some way, a key indicator of cardiovascular disease risk with greater predictive power than cholesterol levels. A troponin detection test that can be administered along with other simple blood tests could alert hundreds of patients to the higher risk of heart attacks and stroke, allowing them to alter their lifestyle or even start taking statins in advance of the adverse cardiac event. The concept was demonstrated in a paper published in the Journal of American College of Cardiology. The author showed that adding cardiac troponin levels to existing risk factors such as smoking status, cholesterol, diabetes presence, and blood pressure increased the predictive powers of these screenings done after CPD events or in advance of statin prescription. So, I mean, this is a great thing because the amount of times that people go to the hospital, they do a quick check or whatever because they're just going to go, off you go, you're grand, and then the person gets a stroke or they die, you get a heart attack or something like that. So these are all extremely positive for society.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I done Superman there, went too fast. Health. Depressive realism. What's that about, Arnold?
Yeah, well, it relates to what I mentioned earlier as well, is that a lot of basically what's happening is that we are pathologizing, we're medicalizing people's emotions. Like, oh, you feel sad. Oh, you must be depressed. Oh, you're worried about the future. Oh, you got anxiety. Or you got a child who's a little bit busy. Or you got ADHD. And all of these things mean, okay, we give you a label. Based on the label, we send you to the mental illness institution where you will get medicine. The medicine doesn't help you. The medicine numbs you down, and the medicine itself got you need 6 different other medicine because there are so many side effects involved. That is the current process of what is called pathologizing emotions. Whereas I came across this name of Depressive Realism. I thought that is very valuable because that is a refusal to participate in our collective denial of uncomfortable truth. It is a concept by 2 psychologists, Alloy and Abramson, and they suggest that that you are depressed sometimes is an accurate assessment of reality, and all of these things is it doesn't mean that it is wrong. It's like now it's like, well, you're not supposed to be sad, or like, oh, you need depressed, you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to the GP, you need to go there. But it's like it's normal to be depressed sometimes. It's normal to be worried about all the AI things which are happening in the world. That is normal. It doesn't mean Roy or I is like, oh, you got anxiety, guys. You need to go to the doctor and get your medicine. No, it's a normal part of our life. Unfortunately, we live in a world of duality where nice things and not nice things are happening at the same time. So by denying yourself that duality, by denying that you have those feelings and that those feelings can be there. It's like, hey, life is not always nice but it's sometimes nice and beautiful and sometimes it's not. But it doesn't mean that you immediately like, oh, you get a mental disorder. No, this thing of depressive realism says, yes, it is uncomfortable, but it's part of life. So I think that will help the majority, if not all of the cases, which are currently labeled as mental illness. They're not mental illnesses. It's just a realistic experience of what's happening in the world.
There's another effect to that as well, is what I'm seeing is when people get diagnosed, obviously, doctors say, oh, you got this, you got ADHD, here's a tablet, you got anxiety, you got this. But then people are using that diagnosis as their reasoning for becoming assholes. Oh, it's because I've got anxiety. It's because I'm this. It's because I'm that. And they use that as an excuse to become who they are because they attach to it. And I've seen a lot of that. I don't know if you've seen that society.
Yeah, but also I see a lot of people, they use it as an excuse. It's like, oh, I cannot work. I need the social benefits. I need an employment benefit because I'm depressed. But my doctor says I'm depressed, so I cannot work. So they use it as an excuse not to do certain things. I admit I'm depressive sometimes. I'm anxious, worried sometimes. Yeah, but not all the time. It's part of life. It's part of this world in which we live. Yeah, so it's not something which is like, oh, immediately it's like, well, I should take pills. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. No, it's part of life.
And then the next one isn't the Wim Hof method, or where I go into the ice lakes and I get as close to transgender as I can when my nuts start shrinking, but it's something else. Soaking nuts. What's that about, Arnold?
Yeah, well, I didn't know this because I eat a lot of nuts myself because I eat mainly plant based. But it appears that if you don't soak them in water, your body doesn't digest all the nutrients from it because they're so hard. Well, just a simple example, an almond. Yeah, if you take an almond out of a package and you eat it, most of the time you almost break your teeth. Yeah, so, but if you put it a night just in a bowl of water, they become much more soft, and then they become a bit thicker, and it's better for your teeth, I would say. But it's at the same time it makes it possible that your body takes more of the nutrients out of it. Yeah. So I added some lists like walnuts and almonds. that is actually what I put in my muesli each morning. I just have it at night in a bowl of water. So it's not much work. It's simple work, but it's better for your teeth and it's better for digesting and at the same time getting the right nutrients out of that process. Yeah, so it's really, really simple thing what you can do. But previously is like if you would be eating that it goes straight out of your digestive tract. So it's basically gone. It does nothing for your body. Yeah? But if you soak them in water, it does a lot for your body, and you get the health benefit because eating that is very, very healthy.
Used to eat a load of nuts, and then I've found out that a load of them contain mold, so you have to be careful as well. So I would even suggest using a kind of ozone generator instead of just soaking it in water, so you're getting rid of any toxins as well to make sure that you're eating it healthier. The next one, healing back pain, and this is an interesting one because there's a friend of mine just mentioned her father is suffering from like a trapped nerve at the moment, and I know what that's like because I was in my early 20s and I tried everything on it, and it was always very hard for me to describe about it. So it's Dr. John Sarna. So just to let you know, I'm not sure if I talked on this before, Arnold, and perhaps I did, but I tried about 20 different things. Like I tried a physiotherapist, I tried a chiropractor, I tried acupuncture, I tried a faith healer, spiritual healer. You know, if you told me drink holy water, I'd have done anything. I was trying everything. And then I got an epidural and they put you under, and then eventually the operation, and it didn't work. And I was at my wit's end. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't move. And I came across this book and I've recommended it to loads of people. So in his book, Healing Back Pain, The Mind-Body Connection, presents a groundbreaking perspective on chronic pain, particularly back pain. His central thesis is that chronic pain often has emotional and psychological roots rather than purely physical causes. This approach challenges traditional medical views and emphasizes the mind-body connection. His primary argument is that repressed emotions such as anger, fear, and stress are significant contributors to chronic pain. He theorizes that the brain, in an effort to protect the individual from confronting these uncomfortable emotions, creates physical pain as a distraction. The condition is referred to as tension myotis syndrome, TMS. To heal yourself, Dr. Sarna suggests the following: acknowledge the emotional roots of pain, recognition that the pain is not due to structural abnormalities or physical injury, but instead linked to repressed emotion. This realization is a critical step in the healing process. Stop fearing the pain. Fear and preoccupation with the pain reinforces its presence. By understanding that the pain is psychosomatic, you can reduce the fear and anxiety that perpetuates it. Address repressed emotions, reflect on and confront the emotional issues that may be causing the pain. These could include unresolved anger, stress, or other psychological conflicts. And shift your focus. Instead of focusing on the physical symptoms, focus on the emotional and psychological aspects of your life. This shift can help break the cycle of pain. And just like there was a few things on it. I remember lots of people go, how's your back? How's your back? I kept saying, stop telling me that, because that was triggering that. And the thing is, I was working 8 in the morning till 12 at night on a construction site, and I think I was burnt out. I was thrown in the deep end running a big job when I was very young. And I think it was just the body was just kind of saying. And what I was told is when I got the MRI and everything, oh, your disc is bulging and it's pressing on the nerve. Apparently that's wear and tear, and everybody experiences that. So it's all just a lie to tell you that. And then you believe what they're saying. So not only did this book cure help me, he's since passed, but you can get that online free. You can find it. There's even some videos, but the book will cost you about $10. And I know it can happen with the shoulder as well, but I would highly encourage anybody that's suffering from kind of the shooting pain down the arm or the leg, go away and get that book.
Well, I indeed didn't know you were going to mention that. I read the book myself, and it was also because I had pain in my back, not as serious as you are, but every time I would tie my shoelaces. I couldn't get up again, and it would last for a few weeks, and then it was okay again. And I was like, "No, do my shoelaces again." And look, I cannot go straight again. But that's where I realized that I was suppressing emotions. Yeah? And it can indeed be a lot of people, they have it in their back, but also, like you said, it's shoulders, but also neck pain. Yeah. But it's like what we're doing is we're suppressing emotions. And that's when I realized that since then, it's been going pretty good with me. So it's like, I totally agree. I read the same book, and I would encourage you to go YouTube, because there are some interviews with him, which are a couple of years old, but they're really good, because he had to fight the system, because the system is like, oh, we got to operate you, or we got to give you some pills, or we got to do that. And he says, well, look at the emotions you're suppressing. So I can't make any money out of that. Yeah, so that is what he is explaining, and yeah, it's yeah. Well, I think more than half the people, they have something like that. So it's hugely important. So I totally agree, Roy.
Other topics, plastic or cows.
Yeah, well, the people are everywhere is like, cows are terrible. They're farting, and they put in methane gas in the air, and it's terrible for our climate. And well, even they're talking about putting injections into the cows so they don't fart anymore, and everything is really terrible. But please go to the next slide, where the is like, we do now that, well, we're supposed to pretend that cows are one of the biggest problems in the world, which is literally bullshit. It's that is not the problem. Yeah? Compare it to the other problem about plastics, which Coca-Cola and all these beverage companies, but most of them are likely a part of Coca-Cola, they produce 200,000 single-use plastic bottles per minute. That is something which we should ask against, and should, rather than say we try to destroy farm. Well, that's happening in Netherlands, but also in Poland, in many lands, is we pretend like farmers are the evil spirits in our society. It's not, because if there would be no farmers, we have no food. So, and all the plastic, that's terrible. So it's a matter of looking at what is important and what is not.
With the plastic as well. We're all being told we wash them out, which is pain. We're paying for water, so that's even costing us. Eventually, when you're washing constantly all these different things, you're paying for it. You're segregating it, putting into it another plastic bag, putting it out to be, as you think, recycled to do your bit. And I have heard of a few different places that they're not even doing that. They're just burying it. And I've seen videos on it as well. So it's all a lie, and a lot of it ends up in the sea as well. They ship it off to another country. It's your problem. They just chuck it out to sea, getting the money. So the whole thing is a scam. So yeah, you're dead right. It's a joke. So teleportation. Yeah, maybe we can go back in time and stop all this crap, Arnold, can we?
Yeah, it is. Most likely these things are already possible, going back in time, or maybe going into the future, but also as a way of transportation. If you go 2 slides further, there was this talk recently by an American general, Stephen Quast, from the American Army, and he literally said, I watched his talk, and he said, we have tech today that can take you from anywhere on Earth to anywhere else in an hour. In an hour. Yeah. So that means, from whether you, like we live in Romania and Poland, we could go to Melbourne in Australia, we could go to Beijing in China, we could go to Los Angeles in an hour. That is already there. This already exists. Yeah. A topic which you discussed last week about wireless energy. Yeah. he said there is wireless energy and we can use it. So that means you don't need to plug in your stuff to constantly recharge, which create the problems with the electricity companies. I managed a few shows ago that the demand for electricity is so big that they cannot cope with it. But he says there is wireless energy. Yeah, Roy mentioned it about free energy, wireless energy, the stuff which Nikola Tesla already had worked on. Nikola Tesla, not the guy from the cars, but he had already developed that, and it was stolen from him. He was more or less, he was not put in prison, but it looked like a prison. So this general just confirmed in a speech that it is there, that it exists.
And one of the episodes, I don't know, was it earlier, but John Rarity anyway, with all the patents and everything. It's an interesting one. It's well worth having a look at, and you can actually go away and get all them patents as well if you're interested in it. Okay, so my pet peeve in life, and yours as well, Arnold, is the proof of chemtrails. So I know you mentioned about some of the 31 states kind of working on it. So Florida introduces a bill to ban weather modifications. The Weather Modification Bill, active bill, sets out the injection, release, or dispersion by any means of a chemical or chemical compound, a substance, or any apparatus into the atmosphere within the borders of the state for the express purpose of affecting the temperature, the weather, or the intensity of sunlight is prohibited. And I'll have the link for that as well. And the interesting thing was that the DeSantis actually came out and said it as well. We're not allowing this. So you've got the leader, the state mayor coming out and saying, "Hey," or governor, as they call them in the states, like, "Yeah, we're not allowing this." So they're banning, which we're being attacked left, right, and center. What I'm going to do now is just today, my and I have to forgive me now for the little. I have to change the sound because otherwise, because I usually listen on my earphones, and these are just one today that I recorded. So you can I'll try to make it bigger. 2025, you can see the motherfuckers are going at it heavy today. And it's even hazy already, so they've been spraying at night. But look, that is not normal. Look, they've been doing it, and I've seen this all over there. You see it spreading out there, and the same there. That's what happens. It's totally chemicals that are spraying, and if you think this doesn't affect you, it does. It's going on your crops, it's going in your water, it's going in your air. And the only way to stop is if everybody starts sharing this. And then I did another one a few minutes later because people kind of go, "Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with that." So just let me just give you an update on the next one. You can see it. You can see. It's a new clinker trail. Trail. It's disappearing, Johnny. A small little bit behind the plane. Skeletons. I don't know, bring lots of grasses. Just to warm a little. So, I mean, that's just kind of showing, and you mentioned, and I'm the same, my eyes are watering, getting sneeze attacks, and it's just frustrating me. And the fact that we actually have to, that we have to try to fight this, and there's different states doing it. It's 100% it's happening. They've admitted it. Last day I showed the Freedom of Information, the UK saying, "Oh, it's to block the sun." I mean, you've idiots like Gates pushing all of this, like you've evil cabals pushing this, and then you've all the idiots out in the world that are attacking us for just trying to go, "Hey, we all just stand up and it stops." But unfortunately, when you're standing up, half your fellow men are pushing you back down. So just stop, because that video alone proves it. It's not me copying it from somebody else. You can see that straight away. That's proving it. Plus, when you see different states in America, like Tennessee already banned it, and they have lovely clear skies now. So would you like that we didn't have to fight this battle, Arnold?
Yeah, it's really ugly. It's impacting everything, and everything from our health, our food, our well-being. But people don't realize it. They just think going back to what I mentioned about depression, anxiety, like, oh, I just don't feel good. But one of the things is, hey, you're breathing in poison every day. You're eating poison every day. So it's not idiot that you don't feel good. It's intentionally people are doing that. If you consume without you knowing it, if you consume all this poison every day, it's gonna impact your physical body, but it's also gonna impact your mental and emotional well-being. And that's what's happening right now. That's why this need to stop. And it is our fellow citizens who are the pilots. It's not just any what and any other weird guys, whatever. No, it might be your neighbor who says he's a pilot, but he's not flying commercial planes. He's flying these things spraying poison on you. Yeah? So these guys are among us. Yeah, they're citizens. They're whatever. But they get paid. I heard that they get paid much more than a commercial airline pilot. But they're paid to poison us. That's what's happening. So this really needs to stop because, well, I'm old that it didn't start this spraying when I was a kid. But imagine that you're now a baby, you're a kid, and your parents take you out in the stroller, and the only thing the kid breathed in is this poisoned air. What will this do to these kids? It's, I don't even want to think about it. It's terrible. So, guys, this is something which is happening, and we keep on addressing it because it's one of the most visible things which are happening to control us and impact us, and has a negative impact on our health.
And like, or you give the link for that Facebook group. It's just kind of, there's not many. It's less than 100 people in it. But what I want is people to come in and try to invite 3 people in, and then share what they're seeing daily. And then the rest can share it or like or comment. And by doing that, the algorithms then should show it to other people. I know it's kind of quashed a bit, but it's a way of doing it and just building on there. And that's all we can do.
Yeah, but that sharing in itself helped, because I did share with you a couple of weeks ago that my eyes started running in my nose and the sneezing, and I cannot talk with people here, or they're not awake or whatever. It's like, I still feel a bit weird. Like, am I the only idiot who's experiencing this? And then you were in Poland, where you're a couple of, well, maybe 1,000 kilometers away from me, and you had exactly the same. So I'm like, well, at least it doesn't help us, but it's nice to share that is like, oh, see, it's not something which got to do with me.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, some people think I can't do anything. It just is. By just liking it, by sharing it, by commenting it, you're actually helping. So, they're small little things help, just making others aware. So every little thing is making a ripple effect. So Arnold, as always, thoroughly enjoyed it. You'll find Arnold on braingym.fitness. You'll find me on roycollin.com, and the episodes, all of them we've got on YouTube. We've got a playlist, awakeningpodcast.org, and the YouTube link will be there. Until next week, thank you very much. Take care.